Uh, okay, it is
Oh,
recording now.
yo.
Okay, so everybody, tonight we got our top sub juniors of 2024. So we are all going to list our top 10, and we are all going to have different ranking formats. You can either rank it based off somebody's best performance or somebody's entire season, like what they accomplished. You could do it by totals. You could do it by records. You can use whatever format you want to determine your top 10. We'll all go in order. We'll start from 10 to 1, and then we'll discuss it. So we got Big Body. You probably know him. He is the one of the flex coaches. Big Body, just short introduction.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Christian Big Body Ferratti. Again, like Mike just said, coach at Flex, and a super big fan of all these young, phenomenal lifters, and even a fan of Big Mike's here. And love future of powerlifting, and glad to be on.
Okay, next we got Will. You're next. 93 kilo world champion. Introduce yourself.
Yo, what's up? My name's Will Ball. Yeah, basically the 93-24 sub junior world champion. Can I give it on to the next person here?
Okay, next up we got Elliot.
Hi, I'm the 2024 sub junior and lifter sub junior 74 world record holder for all the sub junior world records, all four gold medals, all that jazz. I'm really excited to be on because I have a lot of respect for all the lifters that are on this list. A lot of them that aren't on the list, I've talked to some of these lifters. I've gotten to know them and talk to them. And I've gotten to know and talk to a lot of you. And I think you're all great. And I'm really excited to just give my regards to some other people.
Okay, and last we got Dillon. And honestly, before you say anything, I just want to point out that if you were getting posted right now on Instagram as 17-year-old Dillon, the question would be 17 years out of prison or whatever. Because that beard, my man's looking at the Masters with that beard.
Yeah. So I'm Dylan, 17-year-old powerlifter. I didn't do too well at Worlds compared to Elliot and Will, but I'm happy to be on the show. And yeah, I'm happy to rank the top 10 sub juniors.
Okay, so let's just start right away. We'll start with number 10 and Big Body. Let's go.
Okay, so all right. I have this person. It is not a reflection of what we know that him and his coach are going to do. People make mistakes, things happen. I've already seen him correct the mistakes with his coach. And so who I'm going to put at 10, only because of what happened from Worlds, and I'm being very objective, is going to be Dillon. However, I was also at the game day meet, and they made a complete turnaround immediately. Had you had placed better, had you have done what we know you're capable of, you're going to be much higher on this list. But again, it's a rankings list. We have to go objectively off the numbers.
Mhm.
I think that you're a phenomenal lifter. I think that UMO already made your corrections. And if anyone is overlooking you guys, they're fools for that, because you're going to be mistakes happen, man. I made mistakes with Austin in the same meet, and we're correcting them right away. And none of this is like a shot at you or anything. But again, if you hit the numbers we all know you're capable of, you're way higher on that list.
Mhm.
I'm keeping you on that list because, again, I know I've seen what you're capable of in training. I saw you compete at game day. You guys fixed it right away. And so, yeah, that's where I have you on the list. I think you're incredibly strong. I think you're a great talent. I also want to say something I think is really important for the community to know. People are not going to get things right on the first time all the time, but it's a beautiful thing to see Dillon and Mo stick it out. It's a beautiful thing to see you keep your faith in him. And it's a beautiful thing to see you guys show the community things happen. You can make mistakes, but you can also rebound from them strongly. And I think that the community needs to see that more of that loyalty, that respect for each other, the hard work, and the bounce back. I think that a lot of times people are so quick to see someone make a mistake and immediately destroy them and be like, oh, you shouldn't be with this coach, or whatever the case may be, or whatever that is. I think people need chances to learn. And I think you guys did a great job of that. And I commend you guys for bouncing back. So, yeah, I just wanted to say those things.
Okay, that was a very good start, good explanation. And I will now go on to my number 10. And so for my number 10, I actually have, this is one of the most conflicting listers I had. Like, I basically had like 10 or 11 people that were going to make my top 10. And then once I got to it, it was a matter of ranking the order. Now, this lister, in terms of like pure like dots or good lift score, is definitely higher than 10. And in terms of potential, I think he's definitely in the top half. But I'll mention him in a second. He's very conflicting. So at number 10, I got Gregory Pearson. So he's an 83 kilo lifter from Great Britain. The problem with him is multiple things. Number one is he's mainly focused on equip. So while he's very talented raw, he totaled 727.5 at like a light 83. I think he weighed in at like 80 or below. His focus is equipped. He came to Worlds this year equipped. He's done most of his meets equipped. And so that's number one. One issue is equipped. Number two is he's not really very big into the IPF, and therefore I can't see, he probably won't be able to compete IPF next year because he does meet with random federations, and he's definitely Article 14. But I would love to see him put all his focus into raw tested powerlifting because I think he has crazy potential. I was looking at his open powerlifting, and I saw that as recently as 2023, in like April, meaning like about a year and a half ago, he competed at 66. So we're talking about somebody who's moved up 2 weight classes in the last year and a half. So obviously he's put on plenty of strength, put on plenty of muscle, but he's still light. He still has, if he's weighing in at 80, he probably has a solid 5 kilos of weight to put on. And to already be totaling this, also, he's one of the few lists. I have a few lifters on my list who are 2007. So they have another year of sub-junior. He's one of them. So to have another year of sub-junior, some weight to put on, and already just making really good progress, I think if he puts his focus into raw powerlifting next year, he can definitely shoot his way up this list. But for now, I'll put him in my top 10 at number 10. Will, who do you got at 10?
So who I have at 10, I honestly, I didn't do things very opinion based, even though that's kind of like the drive here. I kind of put it, and this is going to conflict what I just said, but I kind of put it based off of like the objective and, you know, like the facts. But I tried to do like my own little research just a little bit because I'm not too educated. But I would honestly have Leon Grob at my number 10 spot just because I couldn't find anything. And I'm looking at the placement here, and it lines up with like the literal list, so I think that's a valid choice.
Okay, I mean that's fine. It's hard to find some lifters, especially like on the sub-junior side.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely harder. So he was definitely on my like preliminary list. So he's definitely somebody who's worthy of a thought. So that's a fair ranking. Okay, so next up, Elliot, who do you have at number 10?
I have Pavel Bendat at number 10. He kind of impressed me. I feel like some of the ones at that level were pretty close in ranking. So I kind of did it in regard to, just his direct competition in the stage he did it at. I feel like a big test at Sub-Junior Worlds is to do, pull it off. It's no easy thing. It is a very, very difficult thing to get the first time. I mean, I experienced it, Will experienced it, Jack Reynolds experienced it. I think pretty much everyone on this list, to some extent, experienced it. But to really pull through and still do some big things when your training didn't look too bad, it's impressive. Some people try and some people fail, and that's not a reflection of who they are. It's just what happens. It's a big task. Sometimes it takes time.
Okay. Dillon, who do you got at number 10?
My number 10 spot, I have Tristan Davila. So it was kind of hard finding some things about him just because I couldn't find his Instagram. I found his TikTok, but I couldn't really find his Instagram. It looked like he was in Texas, like doing equipped, and he's done a few USAPL meets, but he put up, I mean, he did 500 dots. This whole list all my top 10, I think everyone went above 500 dots, which is insane for sub juniors. Daniel Harris went 498, but I mean, the top 10 sub juniors went 500 dots, which is insane to say. Um, yeah, and it was weird because having him there was awkward just because he weighed in at 61 that meet. So he's like a heavy 59, but too light for like 66 to break like a record or so, but he's just kind of in the mix. But I've seen he's done like two meets past this meet that I just did, this performance at 61. So hopefully he goes over to PA and puts some big things up there.
So that's actually funny. I don't know if you heard it, right? Like either it was right before you got on or when you got on, we were talking about it. I was saying that was the one person who just missed my list. He was at 10 initially. I just didn't have anybody I wanted to drop off.
Yeah.
So I was saying it was interesting because he like by dots and by coefficients, he for sure makes the top 10. It's a little awkward at like 61 because you're not truly a 59 or a 60. And like he did his next meet at like 67. I think like I was gonna mention later if nobody mentions him on my like people to watch for next year, but I like that you included him. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got all of our number 10.
Good lift points are tough on lower weight classes.
I know.
Yeah. I was debating between that.
Yeah, good. I'm saying I was looking for junior and open at some listers that like I thought I would have higher, and then I felt like I'm like, wow, they really get killed by good points. So okay, on to number 9. Big Body, who do you have at number
9? I'm gonna put Ashton Fisher there on my list. The reason why is because this kid is like, in terms of his raw ability and power and talent, it's all there. Most 105s, if you look at all the 105s, like first of all, the top ranking lifters in all classes, they all are like respectfully, you could say, and I say this word with positive connotation, and I say it in a fun way. The best lifters are freaks in their own rights. And I come from like the American football background where like freaks are actually celebrated. It's very, it's fun to watch raw athletic power, or in this case, powerlifting, sheer power, right? Like brute force. The abilities that Ashton has as such a young lifter, he looks like a college senior linebacker that plays for like Michigan or something. Like he's just big, he's stacked, the guy's jacked, like he looks like just a ready to go rookie or pro, right, for the NFL. He's got all the capabilities. He's a conventional puller. I know in powerlifting, there's the joke around, like, you know, if you pull conventionals, like grown man status, just joking around. And it's and conventional, if you really are a fan of powerlifting, you look at sumo is a beautiful lift. It's a beautiful lift. It entails more technicality with it, but conventional is literally like, I'm going to slack pull. I'm going to wedge with my feet close together. I'm just going to grown man this weight off the bar. So seeing the type of like bench presser he is, there's just things he needs to clean up on all 3 lifts, but the sheer force and power and ability that he has, he really stood out for me. And it was really enjoyable just to see, just again, the talent that he has. So I think I'm putting him at number 9 because obviously, he put up some good lifts, but obviously he left a lot on the table, but also his upside is tremendous. So that's my reasoning for why he's number 9. I think more, it comes more out of the upside that he has if he cleans everything up.
Okay. Well said. And you stole my number 9, so I'm not going to have to go as deeply yet.
Oh, damn.
So my thoughts on making this list is that I think as well, similar to my last lifter, I think in terms of pure potential, he is higher than number 9. Let's just wait a second. Okay, we got Deniz coming in, so whenever he gets set, we'll pause for a second, but I'll just continue for now. So I think he's higher than number 9 in terms of potential, but he gets dinged a little bit because when I was coming into Worlds, there were a lot of weight classes, right? So there were varied. There were some weight classes that were like, oh, I'm expecting like a pretty good battle here, right? Like the 83s everyone talks about. And some weight classes, like, we're like, it's not going to be a battle. It's just a matter of like, how impressive can like the top lifter, whoever like is supposed to win, like how big of a day is he going to have? Honestly, maybe I was sleeping on the other lifters, but I didn't really think in the 105 that there was somebody who else who could win. So I thought it was Ashton to win. And training looked really good. But then again, one thing that was like a little tough.
Meat day almost looked even better.
Right?
Like in terms of pure strength, I think his meat day in some ways looked better.
Right. So the only problem is we all saw like some of his squats in the gym were definitely a little soft in terms of depth, right?
Yeah.
We all saw that. So, but I still thought like it was his. So, like I thought like he's going to be there. The Team USA coach are going to go. They're going to take his attempts a little bit down just to keep him in the pocket, and he's going to win. But coming out without the W, I had to drop him a couple of spots. I think he's one of the most impressive lifters. Also, what you'll tend to see a lot of times on like sub-junior and junior rankings, you'll see a lot more lighter weight class lifters because they fill out easier. It's hard to fill out as a 17-year-old or 18-year-old, fill out like 120 or something like that, right? It's hard. It's just hard to put on that much muscle. So being like a 105 and being like a pretty jacked 105, I think he's gonna do like big things in the next couple of years, hopefully. But for right now, I have to keep him at number 9. Now let's just take a quick pause. Deniz has joined. You want to unmute yourself?
Yeah.
So you want to just introduce yourself and then we'll continue?
Well, I gotta say that my name is Deniz and I'm from Turkey and I just started to lift in the competitions this year. So this is my first Worlds experience. I get it from in Malta. I broke a VR and after that, in couple of months, they broke it again from France, I guess. Well, that's it. And I have one more year in sub-junior. I don't know what will happen, but
Okay, so I'll tell you what we did. We started and we all already listed our number 10 lifters. So we're going in order from 10 to 1. So if you want to just give your number 10 lifter, your number 10 sub junior from this year, and then we'll continue. Do you have your ranking?
Yeah, I have. Just give me a second.
Okay, no rush.
Let me check my list. My number 10 is Dominic Gray.
Okay, you have anything you want to say about him, or?
I just can't say. No. I don't have anything to say.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
No.
So I'll just so he was another one of the lifters who I was looking at. So far I'm happy. Every lifter that's been mentioned so far is definitely well deserved. So we're off to a good start. So we'll continue with our number 9. William, who do you have at number 9?
Oh, you know what's crazy? You and Chris just stole my number 9 lifter. I mean, Ashton, as a lifter, you know, seeing his strength in the gym, it's phenomenal. Like we're above the moon. Like we're in the stars with this strength, man. But like, I feel like if you can't translate such an elite level of lifting, and this is no like obviously what was said at the beginning, but like if you can't translate, for example, I saw somewhere I think he squatted like 771 in the gym. Let me pull it up here, but his third at Worlds was like 650, I think. I mean, it's just so much of a disconnect when it comes to, and again, also like everybody's, if it was his first Worlds, like everybody's, you know, across the seas, like they're not in a good environment to be like, you know, 100%. They're not at their peak like we are in the gym, but I think to a certain level, you should be able to translate such an elite level of lifting to the platform, even if you are going to lose a lot of percentage, you know, traveling overseas and whatnot. But on top of that, I think, again, also what Chris said, like lifting conventional, is phenomenal. I think it earns you respect across like the lifting region and world and whatnot. But in terms of listing here, also coming second at Sub Junior Worlds, like what was said it previously. Sorry. I think that does knock you down a couple pegs, as well as not being able to, I guess, execute as flawlessly as what's the word?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. So far,
Can I touch on something super quick?
yeah. Go for
Super
it.
quick. I just want to say, if you pull sumo, there's nothing wrong with that. If you pull conventional, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yo, who pulls sumo? That's weird, bro.
There are people that pull sumo that are just purely because of their anatomical abilities, like their anatomical makeup. They are literally weaker conventional, and they have greater advantage sumo. So just know, like, I'm not taking a shot at sumo pullers. I know it's like almost anything you say, especially on podcasts, you have to be like really clear. Otherwise, people are like, "Oh, why Big Body doesn't like sumo pullers or whatever." It's like, no, I'm just talking about how I admire conventional pullers, and it's like it's literally and objectively a brute force pull. It's
cool.
Like
it's
you
cool.
just gotta grow.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's like a 25% of me that's like, what if I was able to pull conventional?
That's what I'm saying.
What if I could do that?
It'd be so cool. It'd be sick.
I think we'd all pull conventional if our pulls were equal. Like even if it was like, low-key, if my pull was like 5 pounds less conventional, I'd be pulling conventional for sure. Okay, continue. Number 9. Dillon, who do you got at number 9?
Me?
Yeah.
My number 9, I have Daniel Harris. 498 dots. I had him over Tristan Davila, just even though he had less dots, which doesn't matter, who cares? Just because he did it at Worlds. He squatted a world record, best 66 in the sub juniors of all time. And I mean, that's pretty much it. That's why I have him there. Squat world record, total world record, best 66. I think he was like top 20 in GL points in the sub juniors of all time. So yeah, that's why I'm at the number 9 spot.
If I could bring up a thing about him as well, he before he weighed in.
Yeah.
Wait, just in general.
He tore his erectors at nationals, at high school nationals. He doesn't really have I think Justin Noller does some programming for him, but he doesn't have like a well-reputed top level coach.
Let me just pause for a second.
He does MMA?
I'm just pausing for a second. If you have somebody in your rankings or later on, then just wait, keep it for when you're for example, I have him also in my rankings at different points. So if you have him later, then just save your points for when you say it. For when you're talking about him. Yeah, because otherwise, we're gonna have a lot of overlap. So if we each if you don't have him in your rankings, then yeah. But if you do, then
I have him.
Okay, fine. So then we'll
yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. So
Elliot couldn't hold it in.
No, I want to hear the whole story, but just yeah. Okay, fine. So Elliot, we're up to you. Who's your number 9?
At my number 9, I took screenshots of the list, and I have to cross compare. My resources are limited, so I'm looking. Yeah, I think at my number 9, like Big Body said, I had Ashton Fisher as well. He's a very good lifter. I think he's making improvements on depth. He really is. He's making huge improvements. And even during Worlds, I really think all it came down to was experience. I think that was a really large experience, discipline maybe. He's very new to the sport. I really think he could rank a lot higher on here. But he needs to bring it over to the platform. And I think he can do that. if he gives it time and keeps working like he has. Because even at at Worlds, even with his poor performance, if you go by the IPF only only at Worlds, he still ranked fifth. He ranked fifth despite he missed 2 squats, missed a deadlift, missed two benches. Was that it?
Yeah.
And he's still, out of all the IPF performers, ranked fifth. That's fucking nuts. Forgive my language. Now obviously I have to take some points away because his training differs so much. But like, and there's some people on here that are so young as well that are putting up crazy numbers that just edge him out because he's a little older and he's young. I think his score could be so much better if he had more experience. So that's why he's at my number 9 for me.
He's old and young.
Well, he's old. He's old, like age-wise, like in the division, right? He's aged out of stuff. But he's only been like powerlifting. I mean, like he was a football player commit before he switched to powerlifting.
Oh.
D1, and he was D1 in wrestling too. So crazy. So like it's crazy to see. He just has some improvements to make, and I think he'll be big knocks in the juniors.
I think we lost Deniz.
Yeah, he said he's an internet problem.
Honestly,
Okay.
I agree with Elliot a lot here. Like everything Elliot said was amazing.
It's actually pretty crazy that 4 out of 5 have the same lifter here. Like I'm low-key surprised. I thought there was gonna be other spots where we're probably gonna have agreement, but I felt like from like 5 to 10, it's for sure gonna be a totally mixed up order. So, okay, so let's just move on to number 8. Big Braddy, who do you got at number 8?
So I'm gonna go with. All right, I'm gonna go with Trevor Klein. The reason why I'm gonna go with Trevor Klein is because he weighed in around 121. What's so funny?
Yeah, what are you giggling about?
He's so fucking crazy. He's so good.
Oh,
he's my goat.
I thought my man was laughing at my pick. I was
That's like, my goat right there.
He's so good.
So I have him here. Respect to Trevor for winning the 120 pluses, right? But like, okay, so I've been fortunate. Obviously, it's not the same sport, but there are concepts that I feel do apply. So like, your strength of schedule, right? Or like strength of opponents. And if we're looking at totals, it's just more so because, again, I'm not taking anything away, but I do believe that the sub-junior 120s need a little bit more time for them to have a higher level of competition in that class. So as a result of that, Trevor is a champion, 100% respect, not taking anything away. I want to see, like, if Trevor decides, I mean, he's a little bit more of the shorter lifters. If he decides to, stay in the 120 pluses, I mean, I think he has a lot of time to be in the 120s, but again, it's all up to what him, and I'm not sure if he has a coach or who his coach is. And that's not, again, I have to say this so many times, it's not disrespect. There's so many great lifters that I found out from this meet. And again, he's a sub junior. He's so young. So if he has a coach, great respect to the work they've done. And I think that he just needs a little bit more competition, and I need to see, him be pushed harder. So it's really like you're a champion. It's not really your fault if you didn't have enough competition and you weren't put in a position where you didn't need to push. I just need to see that push to have seen him, be put up a little bit higher on the list. And yeah, I mean, from here on out, you can just already assume the rest of my list is going to be champions. And I think, and that's for me is because I I value championships. I value how hard it is to attain those things. It's just when even to be, I think we're going to get to a point in power. I'll end it here. I think we're going to get to a point in powerlifting where soon, like sub junior championships, junior championships will also be even more prestigious. Because right now, like I think it sucks for people to say like I won a sub junior world title. Who cares? Nobody cares. But if you have like, you know, 1 million people in the world that are sub juniors that are trying to get there, it's going to make it that much more valuable, right? So, but yeah, that's my reasoning for why I have Trevor at number 8.
Okay. So before I list mine, since I don't have Trevor, I'll just speak about him a little bit, and I'll also speak about your last point. I was actually talking to, there's a junior 60 kilo lifter who's absolutely insanely strong. I actually just posted him recently, and I asked him why he doesn't go IPS, and it was very simple. He can't afford it, and his country doesn't have any sort of like thing. So I think what it takes to get like the sub junior championship and junior championship to have that like prestige of an open is once we start getting funding where if you make your world team, you get your expenses covered, then we're literally going to get to see the best of the best. Because
It'll
we
change the
definitely,
game.
yeah, we definitely see now, like on the junior side a little bit, and for sure on the sub junior side, where there's lifters out there that like they're either competing locally and doing crazy things, or they're not even competing. And it's just like for them, it's like, yeah, they want to be strong, but like they just can't afford to come to Worlds. I mean, it could be a couple $1,000s. So I think that's going to take. So now, just in terms of Trevor, I actually didn't have him on my list. One of the reasons is, so you said like it's just hard, like you can't decide your competition, and he just executed. I actually kind of think it was a little the opposite here. He is at 120, competed at NAS at 120, and kind of went to 120 plus to win because the 120s had somebody couldn't really like there were 2 US 120s, and they were both around the same strength. So one of them went to 120 plus. So he gets respect for that because he let the other lifters stay at 120 and he went and got the championship. Like I respect it, but I just can't have somebody on my list who like I have people with higher totals, weight classes below that didn't even make the list. So to me personally, it's fair because everyone has their own ranking, like what they value. And to you, champ, like we all know, everyone says like when we talk about flex, we don't say, oh, they have these people who put up these dots. No, we talk about how flex has produced X amount of champions. Like that's so we know what you guys value. So I respect it. I just personally don't have him. So for my number 9 pick, I actually have the 105 who did win, Pedro Joel. I don't know how to pronounce the next name, Guerrero. I stepped on him. I did not know who he was coming into Sub Junior World. And then I watched that and I'm like, I'm looking at like squat, looking at openers, Ashton's head on openers. He misses some lifts. I'm like, okay, like it'll be closer. But like I did not expect Ashton to lose. And then I mean, he's really impressed me. He had a really good day. He went from like I in general I think I like know most of the higher level lifters at any level, junior, sub junior, open, and to have somebody who wasn't even on my radar come in and win really impressed me. Took the world record squat, and then after that he followed that up with another performance at Euros, like bumped his PR total, like he did I think 792 at Worlds, and then he went on to do 804 at Euros. So like made even more progress, had like one World, 1 year. I mean, winning Euros and sub juniors, like I'm not going to give it as much credit because there's a lot of weight classes where there just really isn't competition. So like, it's not going to have the same value as like an open or junior Euros title, like in my opinion, but it's enough for me to have him at number 8 on my list. And I believe he is a lifter who's aging out, but we'll see what he does. Moving forward. So definitely a strong lifter and one to look forward to. Will, who do you have at number 8?
So I'm a little concerned here because I think Chris is hacking my computer. I'm going to be honest, my number 8 spot is Trevor Klein. I think I'm going to give a reference to Blue Lock here if anybody reads or watches it. I think his weapon, his bench is great. I think his other aspects of his total can be improved though. I think, personally as a lifter, I think he's a very very good lifter, honestly. Like, even though, what we saw at Worlds wasn't like his expectation, everybody else didn't do to their expectation also. But I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like if he can iron out his edges, like, get those things refined, I think he can be an amazing lifter. And realistically, he's a 120. Like, what was just talked about, he went to 120 plus just to give our 120 that we had a chance to go to Worlds, which is honestly like respect. Like that's amazing. Which puts him in a much more of like a disadvantage just going up against the 120 pluses for GLP and dots wise, but like he had to eat into that class. He was like I think like 1 kilo above the cap or something like that. It was something crazy. But I think honestly, I think I talked about this with Elliot earlier. Him as a lifter with that bench is like could be so amazing. I think he has a lot of potential. I'm gonna put him at my number 8 spot just because I think he deserves it.
Okay.
I do not have Trevor on my list, so I just want to make a comment. I think this isn't. I am not one to rank him personally because what I value about the sport or what I try to get to in the sport and my goals are a little like I really, really have a preference towards dots because I'm a lighter lifter. It's the truth. But I also love pure weight. And the fact that even if he doesn't have the greatest total, greatest, most well-rounded total, that he can bench that much at that weight, at that young. I mean, like, we're talking 120, realistically 120, right? He was 120 plus, but 120. And 120 at that young, that's hard to have, like, a significant amount of muscle at that age.
Didn't he double 50 like 5 something recently?
I'm pretty sure.
Let me pull it up.
That is to have bench is such a long grinding lift to develop. I feel like it is such a grind for a lot of people. It is really something special. I think bench world records are some of the craziest fucking records in the sport of powerlifting. One of the hardest to break. My junior bench record, not my junior, but the one that I have to break for junior 74s, out of all the records, including the one set by the dude that is like the dude who beat Taylor Atwood, and now Ilya Marachev, who was the strongest sub-junior of all time before me. That total, the bench for that is the hardest record to break out of everything there.
You know what? It's actually funny. I'm going to say a hot take. Maybe you guys can agree or disagree with me. I mean, I'm irrelevant. You guys are all from the top lifters out there, and Big Body, you're one of the biggest coaches out there. But my hot take is that I think bench and squat records are impressive. And I low key, like, especially bench now with IPF depth tool, where it's like you can't have a 0 ROM bench. I'm like least impressed by deadlift records just because there's so many people out there with like a crazy deadlift. And like I've seen people legit, like whether it's on Instagram or even in real life, they're like pulling 700 and they're squatting sub 5 and benching like sub 3. Like there's a dude in my old gym who no cap. He pulled like 720. His squat was like 450 and his bench was like 285. I mean, like, listen, I respect that he has a strong deadlift, but like to me, like if you have a strong squat, like I've never seen a lifter with a crazy squat that like is not a strong dude. I've never seen a dude with like a crazy bench, assuming there's like a reasonable arch, that isn't a strong dude. But deadlift sometimes, especially sumo, kind of like that. So that's my take. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, honestly. Also,
it's a method though. It works.
Yeah. I mean, sumo deadlift is one of the most like probably arguably is the most leverage based lift to be like the best at. Like you don't see anyone that has a deadlift world record that doesn't have a longer reach than their actual height.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just to touch on that super quick. It's to the advantage of the lifter again, right? If they can like manipulate a lift, if you can widen out your widths, whether it be the grip or the foot widths, and you can get advantage out of that, then you can do that. I think that it's additionally respectable if you have like anatomical gifts where you can leverage a lift and have that to your advantage, but also like get your squat up and get your bench up. It's very respectable when you see someone who pulls really well, but also has a bench with them, like has these like, what do they call it? The index of the length of your arms, right?
Yeah, the eighth index.
Yeah, but you could also bench like fairly well. That's like great respect. So I think, I mean, how could you not respect that part of a lifter's game when it's like they squat well, they bench well, they deadlift well, as
Mhm.
opposed to like they just have this one lift, right?
Right. I mean, to me, honestly, I agree. I am most impressed by the lifters who are not hitting world records on anything. The ones who are world caliber and don't have to rely on a lift. They're just like up there in every lift. Like I remember, I mean, I assume we all watched like all the Sheffields and stuff. Like Delaney, now it's different. He's like actually in the range for like world record squat and stuff. But like coming to Sheffield, he wasn't going to get a world record squat. He wasn't going to get a world record bench. He wasn't going to get a world record deadlift. But he's just so good at every lift. We're like
Total
he has
specialist.
no weaknesses. So like to me, honestly, I love a lifter that like they have no weaknesses. So anyway, we'll get back to topic
I agree
because
100%.
anyway, so what were we? Dylan, were we on you? I think we were on you.
I believe so. Is it my number 8 spot?
Yeah.
So at my number 8 spot, I have Gregory Pearson, with his 727.5, 504 dots. He put a top 5 total all time in the 83 sub juniors. He also top 10 all time in the GL points in sub junior. Yeah, like what you said, like he has such a high ceiling. It just kind of looks like he's just like going equipped, doing other meets for fun, just like, I really hope he does go raw and like fills out his potential in the 83s because his ceiling is really, really high.
Yeah. Well said. Okay. Oh, who do you got at number 8?
I have Gregory Pearson as well. I mean, he's 16. He's 16,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
did. It's not like he just didn't go to World. He went to Worlds, right? But he was equipped, right?
Yeah.
Best lifter equipped too. So.
Right. And he's 16 years old, and he was 16 years. He wasn't 16-year-olds just at Worlds. It was like months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's been 16 for
Been
He's
16 for like 8 years.
Yeah. All right, bro. But like his best raw dots is from when he was back when he was 16, and now he's older and getting stronger.
Mhm.
Still. Like that's ridiculous. The reason I have him lower is like Dylan said, I mean, the fact that he went to equipped worlds also discredits him a bit at the same time. Not because of judging or anything like that, but because I think it shows he has more priority towards equipped. I don't know if he would personally want to drop equipped to compete in a classic, and if he were to do classic, maybe he would do both, and that would also take away from his classic total because equipped is first, and I mean that's fatiguing, right? So it really depends where his priorities lie. If I were confident that he would be going raw, I think he would be higher on the list. But
I think just to mention, like he himself said he's not doing the IPF anymore. Like he might come back to switch that, but I asked him, I was talking to him about it, and I'm not going to say what he said because if he does want to go back to the IPF, I don't want to say anything that would hurt his chances of coming back, but he does not seem to have much of an interest in coming back.
One thing I want to input on this, on Greg Pearson, this guy's competed a lot.
Yeah.
He is a seasoned veteran at competing. This guy's prestige master level 500 at competing. Even though he's only been competing for 3 years, like I couldn't even count this many meets on one hand. I mean, I got like 20 fingers, but still.
Okay, let's move on to number 7. Big Baddy, who do you have at number 7?
Okay, so I went with the heaviest guys. Now I'm gonna go with okay. I wanted to put a disclaimer here. 53 kgs. That is not a class yet in the open division. And it's more like I get it sub junior. You guys are younger, smaller, still growing. So I'm not excluding 53 kgs for any other reason than I personally want to see what do those lighter lifters do as they grow into more developed lifters and get into it's a legitimate class in the sub juniors, but I would say it's legitimate in terms of, the older age brackets. So with that being said, my 7th place in the top 10 would be Thibers Kenzo. I hope I said that right. Coming in with a 192.5 squat, 115 bench, and a 245 deadlift, 552.5 total. That stood out to me. I think for a 59 kg sub junior, you're still really small. You have a lot of time to continue to put on mass and grow. That stands out to me. That's impressive. The gap within winning was 32.5 keys. And, you know, you're talking about the available competition there on the day versus all the kids in the world in that class. And you win, you know, by about, you know, over 30 keys, you know, 91.5 GL points. That's pretty respectable to me. So yeah, I mean, I don't even think we had. I'm looking at our list right now. I don't even the research the list. I don't even think.
Yeah, he wasn't on it.
Yeah, he wasn't on it, but I have him there again. Everyone's going to have their opinions. I don't understand how in sports you don't value championships. I think that championships are a beautiful thing to work for. It makes it special because it's that hard. It's so hard to achieve. And the feeling that you have when you win a championship, there it is, for me personally, it's like it's priceless. You can't pay me for what I'm feeling right now, especially knowing you're the best in the world. And so for that, like, you know, culturally on my team, I would say we really value that. We value dots. We value pound for pound lifting. We value total, you know, the total in its entirety, you know, brute force. We value everything really, but to win a championship, it's so hard. And I will kind of segue this into probably my next pick. I'll bounce off of this, but yeah, I have to verse Kenzo there. I think it's an impressive, and I think he also went 9 for 9. So he had a perfect day. Yeah, he had a perfect day. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy. He had a perfect day, great total. And kudos to the young man coming out on the world stage as a sub junior and winning a championship.
Okay. I didn't have him on my list, but that's definitely a reasonable pick. I'm going to move on to my number 7. Now, my number 7 is also my number 9 and 8 were very easy for me to rank. My number 7 is a little bit more difficult. In terms of talent, he's much higher on this list. And in terms of even just pure numbers, if we just went pure off numbers, he'd also be higher on this list. The problem is he did a couple of meets this year, one of them much bigger than the others, and didn't go so well. So number 7, I got Dillon. So obviously, presumably anybody who's going to be watching this probably knows what happened at Worlds. He bombed out, unfortunately, at Worlds. When he talks about himself later, which I assume he will, I'll let him like give an actual better like explanation because I'm not going to explain for him. But so that's obviously for me, that's going to drop him down a little bit because I'm not as extreme as Big Body in terms of like purely championship. But to me, like the way I do my rankings, I do a combination of like how well did you do at your best meet and how well did you do at your biggest meet, right? I like combine the two, right? Because like let's say, for example, this will come up when we ranked open, but like there's like I haven't started my actual numbers for where I put people in opens, but like an easy person to be like, where do you rank is like Russ, right? Like obviously Russ is one of the best lifters in the world. And in fact, even this year, he did like something much bigger at nationals. So the question is, and his biggest meet, he didn't win. So it's like, how do you balance what you did at your biggest meet versus your best meet? So for me, that's why I have Dillon at number 7 because at Worlds he bombed, but in his next meet, he had his bounce back meet. He totaled, I believe, what was it, 772, right?
72 and a half, yeah.
Yeah. At what was it?
88.
So,
I think, yeah.
Well, we'll let you discuss more about that later in terms of like the weight classes and that. But so obviously it was a phenomenal meet, right? Like let's just pretend he was a 93. That itself would be an extremely high performance at 93. Like if you had gone into Worlds as a 93 and done that, I would have moved you up probably a spot or two, even just doing that. And But I'm saying since this was after Worlds, this was whatever, it peaks down a little bit. Now, I also, like I mentioned earlier, Dillon's one of the 2007 lifters, so he will be a sub junior next year, which will mean, obviously, we expect his rankings to be much higher. I'm curious to see whether you go 83 or 93. Personally, if I were you, I would go 93. I assume you probably are. You can tell us now. Do you think you're going to go 93 next year?
No, I don't think so.
Oh no. Oh, interesting.
No.
For some reason, okay. In that case, whatever. But either way, even at 83, I mean, let's just start with the squat, right? Squat it's the most interesting because on the one hand, it's the lift that like killed you at Worlds. On the other hand, you came back and not just like got your squat, like got white. You got white on 300 kilos. Like, to be honest, I remember before Worlds, everyone was talking big numbers. And like I thought, my honest opinion was that everybody would do worse than Scott. Whether I thought you, I thought Jack, I thought Jacob, I thought Elliot, I thought all, because practically, like, I've been to Worlds before. I've been to Open Worlds, I've been to Junior Worlds, and it's very hard to replicate your training.
Yeah.
So I was like, everyone was talking about like Star Wars work, and I'm like, I was talking about like 300, 300 plus. I'm like, we just didn't see it happening. But then you come back and like you didn't do it well, but you came back and you actually did it this year. So
yeah.
And to be honest, there was more in tank.
Yeah.
Like you probably had another 5 to 7.5 in tank. So like, especially if you stay 83 next year, like it's definitely gonna be more difficult. Like I saw comments, people saying, "Oh, you wouldn't get whites in that IPF." I'm not gonna be a judge and say whether I think you will, you won't, whatever. But what I will say is that you have another year to prep on that, and I mean, also you're gonna have better prep, better planning, and I expect not only you to jump way up to the first next year, but like you to actually take that 300 plus on the highest level platform.
Yeah.
So that's my take. And we will move on to Will. You're number 7. Who do you have?
Yeah, somebody's got to be wiring my computer to one of y'all because there's no way. Dillon, I'm gonna be honest, you're in my number 7 spot, man.
All right.
It's again nothing personal, but again, I think what these guys said previously kind of captured it all. Like what you do at your best meet, and you know how well you can replicate that training and that peak overseas does matter a lot. I cannot be one to speak, but then again, you have a lot more points on this list personally, just because of your comeback was so, I'm gonna say, amazing, just because we went from sorry, not we, but you went from doing what you did at Worlds to absolutely showing out at your next meet, and I think it's a very respectable thing to do. Just you showed a lot of, I want to say, grit and resolve. Just not kicking the dog while he's down, but standing back up and proving that you're a very strong and very talented lifter. So you're gonna take my number 7 spot from me.
Can I touch on this super quick?
Go for it.
I just want to say, also, Dillon, it's very respectable about how you're showing other young lifters how to handle failure. And it's something that's really powerful because the community can see, like, bro, if anybody thinks, look, any coach out here that's talking like they're perfect or trying to make it seem like they don't make mistakes, that's not true. Any lifter out here that's trying to act like they don't make mistakes or they're perfect, it's not true. And the way that Ray Lewis has a phrase where he talks about, I want to see what my teammates do, not when things are at their best and we're winning champions and stuff, or when we have the best dots points, whatever. He didn't say that, but obviously you get what I'm saying. I want to see how my teammates, my coaches, and all my teammates, how do they perform, and what is their demeanor like when things are their worst? How is it when things are their worst? Are you going to quit? Are you going to give up? We know that we see, recently, for whatever people's reasons are, people have maybe given up temporarily right now. We've seen some people recently in the community stop powerlifting. And just as there may be 1 to 10 people that stop, there's like hundreds of thousands that are learning about the sport and starting. And as those newcomers come in, you are one of the big name sub juniors here. And that's a really powerful thing And I commend you for that because, again, it's a beautiful thing to see people take failure on the chin like a grown-up and then handle it very well, move forward, come back, and bounce back. So I wanted to commend you on that.
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna grab something from my fridge real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. Dillon, we are on you. Who's your number 7?
So my number 7 spot, I had Ashton Fisher with his I kind of valued like performances more than just like overall ranking because it's so hard to just take an overall ranking on like a career when there's sub juniors and it's so tiny. So I kind of just took performance to performance and what I was ranking like someone's best performance from 2024 out of the sub juniors. And I had his 820 when he 500 dots, 102 GL points, top 5 total all time as a sub junior as a 105. 10 spot in GL points for sub junior, and I mean, second all time total in the 105 sub juniors as well. So that's why he takes my number 7 spot.
Valid. I mean, it happens to be honest. Last year when I did my rankings, I did it that way. I just did it based off the best performance. But then I was like, it's hard to do that because then there's like less like conversation. I mean, like you can just make a list and purely off dots. I remember I was arguing with Lucky, Alex Buckle, and we were arguing last year about my rankings for the juniors. And it's like, I was like, yeah, I could just make a list purely off dots. So like anybody can just go on Open Powerlifting and like read that. Like, it's like taking a combination. Especially that's why I like the idea of having multiple people because like we can all form our list differently, and we are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's a perfect combination. Okay, so Elliot, who do you got at your number 7?
I also have Dillon Johnson there. I mean, it's got to be said. While he did not perform well at Worlds, he still also performed well in front of national judges. And in his most recent meet, he also showed to be able to handle an increased weight, be able to make the proper adjustments, and really improve his game. And I think that is admirable. Obviously, I have to put him down a few spots because he wasn't able to produce it at Worlds and in such a harsh manner as well, like a very, very like more severe than most people. But the fact that he bounced back so well after that also has to be taken into account, right? Because while if we rank him by IPF performances, he's not even on the list. He still did nationals. And when you take into account nationals, he's still pretty high up there. And that was months before Worlds. But if you take into his local meet after Worlds, he's number 5. He's number 5. So while his performance at Worlds was lackluster, to the doubt of many, including myself, I did harshly criticize. I was proved wrong very brutally, and I think anyone who thought similar to me was also proved wrong because he came back, dude. That's a fucking big squat.
Bro's giggling.
It's like, and you also have to take into account what he's done before this as well. If we go back before he joined the IPF, if we go out of open IPF, look at, the fact that he's put up, like, he beat my record in the 13 to 15. That's huge. He's still up there in 16 to 17. Another year. What the hell? I wouldn't be surprised to see him put up some big gains in GL. I mean, and it's not like he's got an easy break, right? Or easy competition. He's up there with Jack Reynolds, who's way fucking high up on my list. And while he is a few rankings lower, he's lower because of some really, really talented lifters, and not because of a lack of himself. So I still have to put him up there on my list at number 7, or is it 6? I lost count.
7.
It's 7.
The listing, I've been cross-comparing and listing. 7.
Again.
I have to put them up at my number 7 because it's pretty impressive, man. Kudos.
Appreciate it.
Okay, let's move on to number 6. Big Body, who do you have at number 6?
All right. My pick for number 6.
Why are you making a look?
Yo.
Is Will Ball.
Oh, I'm cooked.
What?
I'm cooked.
What?
Let me
I'm
explain.
cooked.
Let me explain.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm
So
cooked.
I know a lot of times, especially in the community, the word bias is like such a strong word. Everyone loves that word, right? You could use it technically, you could use it socially, you could use it a lot of ways. I had told Mike that when we do this, I'm going to work to be as unbiased as I honestly can be. Will Ball works with Trey Ricard, who is coached by Joe Franzo of Flex Training Systems. So he comes from the tree. And we love Will. We want to see him and Trey do their best. We look at them as our family. I have to say that Will hit one squat of 275, 195 bench, and a 318 deadlift. In my opinion, Will Ball, we both know that you are so much more capable than what you put up on the platform. However, this is your first time, and I know that's not your best. So being objective, we underperformed. And I know it hurts. But I know that on our team, I look at pain and hurt as a positive because I want you to take that pain and turn it into something legendary, because that's how much I believe in what you and Trey can do. So I have to put you at 6 because I don't even believe the next best total was 742.5. So even with an underperformance, you destroyed your competition. But again, I look for our team to dominate. Like if you could have won, so you won by like almost or over 40 keys, but you were capable of winning by however much, right? And I always look for us to maximize potential, maximize what we're capable of. So again, like I'm making sure that as hard as I criticize or objectively judge in this ranking system, Dillon, I'm also making sure I do the same to our own to make sure that, it's an even playing field and also show the community, I think that you and Dillon are capable of more. I think that Ashton, who's also not with us, he's coached with his university, Ottawa, right?
Yeah.
Ottawa University.
Yeah.
Why you laughing?
Elliot sent me a
No, you sent that, bro. What are you talking about?
Elliot sent me a really funny text message.
Oh, but yeah, to finish this up, I think that you're capable of so much more, and I expect to see you destroy it the next time you have those opportunities. I think you're a phenomenal lifter. You're an amazing talent. You're an awesome dude. We had a great time at at Malta. It was very fun. And I have you number 6 because I believe you underperformed, but I don't believe that it defines who you are as a person or a lifter. And I do believe that you're gonna do some great things in the future.
I honestly take that as I couldn't disagree with anything you just said because I honestly feel the same way, especially about my own performance. Like I genuinely do think I underperformed a lot. But I mean, it happens. First
it
worlds also.
Yeah.
So I can't really complain. And like you said, I did still kind of lead by 50 kilos, which is good. But I mean, if we're talking about, objectively, it's a deserved spot. I wish I could have led by like 100 like I did at Nats. I feel like it was in store, but it just stuff happens.
Yeah. You won by 45.5 kilos, which is still it's a lot.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, so at number 6, I got Pavel Benda. So he won worlds first in the 120s. Didn't have like the best possible day. Like his training looked even better coming in, but he did really well. And then he followed it up at Euros. He light weighed in like 123 is like a light 120 plus, and he put up 853.5 for like the second heaviest sub junior total ever after now so. And he just like, I mean, he's a unit. He's got a good squat, a good bench, good deadlift. Like none of them. He actually took the 120 plus sub junior deadlift record, but like it's 331. It wasn't like, honestly, it might be higher in some of the lower weight classes. But I'm saying he's just a well-rounded lifter. He has no weak lifts. He's a strong squat, strong bench, strong deadlift, and I mean he looks like he's a 25-year-old. So the man's a beast. And I think 6 is like, I maybe could have moved him up like one spot. He was somewhere for me like in that 5 to 7 range. So that I thought 6 fit pretty well. Will, who do you got at number 6?
You know, I'm gonna pop out with a crazy pick here. I don't know if people are gonna like this one, right? Daniel Harris. All right, hear me out. Even though, as a person, he's great. He's great. He's amazing. I think he has a lot of room that he can improve on within the. All right, Chris, why are you shaking your head, man?
Huh?
Chris, why are you
We
shaking
know
your
exactly
Chris, why are you shaking your
What
head
you
like
mean?
that?
What?
What?
I'm swaying back and like left to right in my chair.
Nah. You got some evil plans going on over there.
Huh?
But yeah, I think Daniel has a lot to improve on. I don't know where he's at right now. Maybe martial arts. Maybe this guy's still shaking his head.
No,
Maybe
I'm telling you, I'm swaying in my chair. I'm
no.
literally listening. I'll stop swaying.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Maybe he's gonna be the next UFC light heavyweight champion. You know, maybe we're gonna see him on Fight Night and UFC 350 or something. But I think he can do a lot of things, especially he won, correct? He did win.
Yeah.
He won. He won.
Sub-junior champ.
I think he can put a substantial amount on his total and make himself such an amazing lifter, especially with kind of the way he does things now. If he just kind of like Trevor also, like if he ironed out these edges that, like Elliot touched on, how we talked about, like his coach isn't I want to say holding his hand through things, at least not fully. I think
Well, sorry to interrupt. I think your camera's a little blurry.
Whoops.
What?
Who did that?
What is that?
Shh, is it good now?
I
think it's
like
fine.
it's a little blurry, but I mean,
Is it?
yes,
I
keep
can't
going.
tell.
Hey,
Hold
my
on.
bad. Keep going.
Okay. But yeah, I think it's off my screen. I think that he can become a great lifter for where he's at, especially his weight class. Let me check his weight class. Yeah. He can become an amazing lifter, honestly. With how he told me he does things, I genuinely think if he got into kind of a more normal stance of things, like not tearing his erectors on nats and having to completely rehab back, which is amazing also, I think. Coming from such an injury at nationals, like Elliot mentioned, and then going on to win worlds is in that time frame, I think is really respectable. I think he's got a lot of potential, definitely. And I think Chris also saw that when he was talking to him with all those conversations at Worlds. I think there's a lot in him that can be worked on and improved. It's my number 6 spot.
Okay. Dillon, who do you got at number 6?
So my number 6, like again, like what I said about Ashton, I kind of did it like by performance and not just like overall, like just ranking. So I have myself at number 6. I don't want to talk about too much about myself just because it's weird to rank yourself and then talk about yourself and rank everything. You know what I mean? So I have myself at number 6. If I did the criteria of like overall ranking, I would have myself much lower. But I did my list kind of just mainly on best performance compared to best performance. So that's why I have myself at number 6.
Okay. I mean, I just want to point, since you said like it's weird to talk about yourself. I just want to point out like we were all pretty close. I mean, like I think me, Elliot, and Will all had you at number 7, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so like we're all on the same page, like right around. Like it's not like you came out here and said like, yeah, honestly, I
Yeah.
think I'm number 1. Like if you said that, I'd be like, okay, that might be a little out of pocket. But number 6, definitely. I mean, in terms of pure numbers, like you might be higher than that. So having yourself at number 6 is very reasonable. Okay, Elliot, who do you have at number 6?
I actually have Pedro Joel. I cannot say that full name. I'm so sorry. But he also came out of nowhere to me. I'm on the U.S. team, so obviously I was watching. I mean, I watched all of the lifting, but obviously I was watching to support my teammate Ashton, right? I thought there was no chance he was going to lose. I thought no matter what, as long as this dude doesn't bomb out, he is going to, like, definitely going to win. Like, I feel like even on his worst day, and honestly, he even performed better than I thought he would at the end of the road, right? I mean, he did not get, he got 1 for 3 on squats, which is fine. But it wasn't as much as I think he's capable of. And at nationals, he showed that he was capable of more, you know? But like his deadlift, I genuinely thought he was gonna like bomb out on deadlift. And this guy pulls a PR and it's smooth as butter. And even despite that performance by Ashton, this guy comes out of nowhere and his last deadlift didn't even look that difficult, in my opinion. It was ridiculous. He came out of nowhere. I had no idea. I didn't expect it. And for that reason, he's number 6 on my list because, I mean, if we go by all international performances as well, he's ranked number 5 on here. That's pretty insane. That's pretty insane.
We lost Mike.
Oh no!
Where did Mike go?
Commander!
All right. Well, to keep things going, I guess we can go to number 5 now, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Disappeared.
this is gonna be
Everyone's at
rough.
6. All right. Well, when he comes in, we'll
Go
fill him in.
Tater.
We'll fill him in, but I'll go ahead with my number 5. So my number 5 is going to be Pavel Benda. Oh, there
Oh,
he
he's
is.
Mike,
Mike, can you hear me?
it's about to
yeah.
get freaky.
We went ahead with number 5 just to let you know I'm starting my number 5.
Yeah, I got it here.
So again, I got Pavel Benda. It looks like there were just 5 sub junior 120s that competed, so it was not as deep as the other classes. And you know, he totaled 823.5. He came in with a 7 for 9 performance. I mean, I think it's just kind of clear there. You said he did 855 at
853 at Euros at like 123 or something.
Yeah, when I looked up his page, like I didn't see too much lifting on there. He's got like vacation stuff, and but the guy looks like another like D tackle linebacker. He's big, yeah. He's a big
somehow
kid.
makes Ashton look small.
Yeah, he's a big kid. He had some good lifts, especially for a sub junior. And I think he had did he make a world record bench, right? 208.5?
I believe so.
I'm looking at it right now. So, you know, smack the record. I think that's pretty good. Anytime that you win a championship and add some other accolades like a world record on there, you know, I got to give you props. So yeah, I have Pavel Benda by way of, what is that, Czech Republic? Czech?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I have him at my number 5.
Okay. At number 5, I got the most out of pocket lifter on this entire list. One of my most funny things was watching his interview in 2023 at Sub Junior World. Daniel Harris. That kid is just absolutely. The kid is nuts. I mean, I think like it's hard to rank sometimes these like 66, 59, but first off, he's insanely strong. And I mean, honestly, like he doesn't do anything the stereotypical way. I don't know if he has a coach or not. If he has a coach, he has never even considered listening to his coach. That's for sure. The man,
that is correct. That is correct.
The man just like last year he was like 61 kilos and did 66. Like he could have broken every record at 59. He in terms of talent, he has all the talent. And he definitely loves lifting, but I don't know if he's like as committed to. I think everybody else on this list is pretty highly committed to powerlifting, and I think his commitment to powerlifting is like non-existent. He does it because he's really good at it, and it's something to do. But like you said, he's probably taking this year off. He's gonna do some MMA fights. He's gonna probably like when he's in the mood of lifting, he'll probably like SPD 5 times in a week and max out 5 days straight, and then like not lift for a month. Like the man is just insane, but he's also insanely strong. 2-time world champion, world record squat, good all around lifter, and he makes lifts. Like it's actually funny because I don't know if he's not really active on Instagram anymore, but he used to be more active.
He got banned.
Oh, he got banned? Okay. And there would be comments about like how he didn't necessarily like perform to standard, but then like when it comes down to it, let me pull up the actual
he makes almost like
I know,
a lot of his lifts.
I know, I'm trying to find I want to get the accurate numbers.
And that's why like injured.
You want to know how many lifts he made?
Yeah, so he went
8 for 9.
He went 8 for 9, should have went 9 for 9 this year. And then I believe, last year he also went 8 for 9 at World. So he's gone 8 for 9 both times he's gone to World. So like he's just, I mean, he's a good lifter. He executes pretty well. He's strong on everything. Like he doesn't have like, I mean, for a 66 kilo like 17-year-old, like squatted the world record like 525 or something, bench 325, deadlift 550, like no weak lift. Like I just want to see. I think he's one of the lifters that if he like really committed to it, would be probably a threat in the opens like his first year. It's like it's not opens. I mean, like it's not common for people to go in their first year in the juniors automatically to like podiuming the open. But I think he would definitely be in that conversation. So he's my number 5 lifter.
Remember.
Who do you got?
I remember Daniel talking to me and Elliot. He was like, "Yeah, whenever I train, I just go in and do whatever I want." I was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, and he was like, "I just do whatever doesn't hurt that day." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude? We're talking
character
in Malta at Worlds, and you're telling me you do whatever doesn't hurt."
Big Body's listening right now. Big Body's thinking like, if I was coaching this kid, he would be number 1. Big Body's thinking like,
dude.
He's like, imagine what I could do with this kid. Is that not what you're thinking right now, Big Body?
They were chatting a bunch.
I mean, spoiler alert, I have him high on my list, and I'll explain why. And I'm gonna get into some of the things you guys are already touching on.
Okay, so we'll let you elaborate when you're up to him. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So who do you got at number 5?
At number 5, I got Pedro Joel. I'm not saying that full name. I feel like I'm gonna offend somebody. In the official like listing, I know he's number like 8th or something, but I looked at his open powerlifting, and honestly, I don't think he's a bad lifter at all.
Sorry.
I'm looking at his numbers, and I don't remember watching him, but I do remember talking just about him in general, and I do agree with some of the things that Elliot said. But I just think he's a good lifter all around. I can't go into too much detail because I don't have too much information on him, but I think he takes my number 5 spot.
Okay. Fair enough. Dillon, who do you got at number 5?
So my number 5 spot, I have Jakob Belak. I mean, 83. He went to Worlds, having like a really tough battle that everyone thought it was going to be against Jack, and pulled for the win. Didn't pull it, but I mean, he still put up a massive total. I mean, he got the deadlift world record at 83, top 5 in GL points for sub junior all time. I mean, he has a crazy deadlift and he dotted 5'11", so that's why I have him at my number 5 spot.
Okay, definitely, definitely valid. Elliot, who do you got?
I also have Daniel Harris. For 66s, I think I talked about this earlier. Good lift points are really, really harsh on 66 lifters. I feel like specifically that weight class, I feel like it really hasn't been filled to its potential yet, and we're just kind of even in the open, we're just starting to see people who are really meant to be 66, right? Really outliers. So to be an outlier in the 66s, and fun fact about Dillon Johnson, not only did he out total every single 66.
You mean Daniel
You mean
Harris?
Daniel Harris?
Yeah, Daniel Harris. Did I not say that?
You
You
No,
said
you,
Dillon
you said
Johnson.
Dillon Johnson.
Oh my God.
Dude, lock in. What are you doing?
I'm reading too many things. Fun fact about Daniel Harris. There we go. Fun fact about Daniel Harris. He out totaled all the 66s and all the 74s but me, I believe. I believe that is what the rankings were, which is which is nuts because that was a pretty strong 74 class. They were not far off from the world record at the time. So to be that far ahead of the 66s and the 74s while being in an awkward weight class and not even really filled out, and like we were saying earlier, not really committed. That's nuts. And like we were also saying, he actually, when it comes down to it, he executes even when he's injured. And I mean, that's some grit. And I respect that a lot. So for that reason, that's how I got him at my number 5.
Okay, now we are all the way up to number 4 already. Big body, who do you got?
So number 4, I have I'm gonna take a shot at his name here.
Oh no.
Yo,
It is, shout out to Spain,
we're cooked.
Pedro Joel Aragonesis Gorero.
Oh,
Number
What
4.
you know about that?
that was
So,
freaky.
When you, when you said that, I'm like, is he about to say somebody that nobody knows who it is? And then you just said the name that we were all just talking about, so it's funny. Because I thought you were about to throw out some lifter. I'm like, I never heard of this guy.
Yeah. So so with Pedro, I want to give a shout out to Spain. For me, when you underperform, you talk about what you need to do better. And then when you do very well, you give flowers, right? So it's like we're never trying to put no one down, and we always want to give love where love is due. And I want to give Spain their love because I have watched them rise as a country and with their lifters and put in the work over a long period of time. And I think we can all agree that they have a plethora of lifters that are on the come up and have made some names for themselves, especially at junior worlds. So massive respect there for the work that's being done. Pedro weighed in, I believe, at 103.9 and finished off. He hit his second attempt with 300 keys, 175 bench, and a phenomenal 317.5 deadlift to total 792.5. I have Pedro at 4th because there's something that I make sure that I preach to my roster about. You have to be ready to win. That is something in sports, period, that you cannot just come into a meet and because you see lifters hit gym lifts, that you're just going to bow down or, just take a knee because you see that they have a potential to hit a particular total. But our very own, again, not being biased, I love Ashton, but Ashton underperformed and Pedro was ready to win. They were relatively clean with their attempt selection. He had one miss and they came in with the executed plan. They executed better. And they came in and won by 2.5 keys. There's a lot to be said for that, to win a world title, being ready to win You could have looked at Ashton's. I mean, again, I know that there were some things talking about Ashton's depth and stuff, but what did we say? He hit 771 squat.
Hey, that's what was claimed. Okay,
Yeah,
that's what he posted on his story.
So again, like, let's say you don't underestimate anyone in your competition, right? And let's say you come in there, you know, Pedro could have came in and said he hit 771 squat, he benches out the building, and he can pull enough to make him competitive, right? Like, why would I even try, right? I might as well just go for second. But the fact that he came in, he executed on the world stage, and he's putting up these crazy numbers as a 105, and you won a world title. Again, like, for me, people may not give credit and value to sub-junior world titles. I give a lot of credit and value, especially as the sub-junior age division is growing. And he beat one of our very own, and we know that America is a huge country with a lot of stacked talent. So again, there's just like a lot to be said. And even though this is from another country, I'm going to give love and respect here. So I got Pedro at my number 4.
Okay. So at number 4, I got, well, I didn't know how to pronounce it before, but it sounds like Jakob Belak. Is that correct or close enough?
Jakob.
Okay. So I mean, he's a pretty crazy lifter. I believe he's number 5 all time in sub juniors on gel points. Probably similar in that.
That's in a very stacked sub junior right now.
Right. So I'm saying, but not even this year, all time. So, and
That's
honestly, if this was last year, I don't have last year's rankings pulled up in front of me. I actually had them before, but then I closed it. Like, he probably would have been number 1 last year. But this year, just like, I mean, the sub juniors leveled up, and I mean,
who won sub junior overall last year?
I'm trying to remember. Let me see if I
was it Hamza?
Oh, no. Last year it was Jaden Lowe.
Whoa!
Lowe, he totaled 775 last year at 81. So
Jeez.
he was number 1. Hamza was number 5.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Hamza was number 5 last year. He actually got upset about that.
Oh, and right, I forgot. He got. Oh wow, yeah, he did really badly. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he didn't do so badly. He just didn't like the ranking, and then he was like, whatever. But anyway, so back to Jakob. So he wouldn't have been number 1, but he might have been number 2, or he would have been like up there, like in terms of the conversation last year. But like for number 1, but this year he had a phenomenal meet. There was a lot of hype coming to this 83 class, and while it didn't live up, if you talk about like hitting the crazy numbers that like some people talk about, like I didn't think we were really going to see 800 plus go down in the 83s. Forget about the like 820 that I heard brought up by Jack. But like still, he had a phenomenal meet. I mean, he totaled 757.5, and he also had like some of the same issues with squat depth, the charging. Like he got reds on his first 2. So even with only getting 1 squat in, he still was in position to almost pull for the win in like the most competitive class at Sub Junior World. So I think this is a fair ranking, and I think he's a phenomenal lifter, and look forward to see what he does as he moves into the juniors. Will, who do you have?
We're on number 4, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I have Jakob. I'm gonna be honest. I need somebody to stop looking at my screen here. But honestly, I think as a lifter, we, especially the hype before Worlds within the 83s, right? We had Jack basically dominating, but with how things went down, especially, hold on, let me actually pull this up here. This is super unprofessional of me. But with how things went down, I really honestly respect how well Jakob did, right? I think it's amazing. Like you can come so close. I don't want to say you come so close, but like obviously not like dethrone him. But he got second at Worlds, right? He had loaded 725, and basically was making a threat to Jack, like saying, "Oh, you know, I'm not just going to be knocked down, even though, in the beginning we're looking at, two missed 606 attempts. Little bit of a rough start here, but I think he deserves my number 4 spot just because he puts himself at in like a higher tier of lifting, being able to still not I'm trying to find the words here. It's my fault. Still make himself somewhat of a threat in the 83s when there's such a big lead and by Jack. That's gonna be it. For me.
I think one thing I want to add on to that is, I mean, going into that class, I think I would say probably 60 to 70% of people probably thought Jack was going to clear out win, and it wasn't going to be as close as people thought. And Jacob did make it way closer than people think, and almost won that battle.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Like, you didn't see it. It happens to be like he's not from like one of these countries that like gets people don't know them as much. He's not an American or like a British lifter. Like people like.
Mhm.
I mean, I knew he was obviously because like I was like looking up the rankings and all this and that, but like he definitely was not getting as much like attention as like deserving for his level of lifting. So,
Mhm.
so Dillon, who do you got it for?
My spot at number, I don't think this is on anybody's list because his meat hasn't been put into open powerlifting yet. But I have Chase Gravitt at 782 and a half, 514 dots, deadlifted 750 as an 83 or 80. He weighed in at 87, deadlifted 750, squatted 280, and benched 162 and a half.
I'm actually
What?
I'm
When was
low-key mad.
this?
I'm low-key
This was
mad
this
because
This
a
was
month ago.
recent. Yeah, this was
was a month
very
ago.
recent. I remember seeing
It's not
this.
an open powerlifting?
No, it hasn't been put in yet.
I'm pissed off because I had him on my like preliminary list to look at, and then I looked at open powerlifting. I'm like, oh, okay, like he's good, but I didn't see this, and now I'm pretty annoyed because I feel like I might have even posted his meet recap, and then
Think
Yeah, you
still,
did.
I think you did.
I
Yeah.
know,
Is
but
a
like
dog. Yeah, you
it wasn't
posted
on
him.
open powerlifting. Yeah, but it wasn't on open powerlifting. So when I was like, even though he's on my list, like I have him on my list, but I can't believe that I'm pissed about that because that's a good. That I feel bad.
Dude, I need to be on Instagram more. I did not
17
see
years
that.
old.
My list is cooked.
Bro, same.
Wow.
He said my list is
Okay.
good.
I forgot about that. I
It's
forgot
actually
about that.
low-key, it's perfect when you get that one person like that everyone like missed. Like I don't like last year was actually Jaden Lowe. He wasn't on my list. He wasn't on my list because I didn't realize he was a sub junior. And then I thought I was, and also I didn't do it like I did this year. Like I was posting it each day, like number 10, and then I get to like number 5, and I'm like, look at the list, and then somebody like messaged me about him, and I'm like, oh shoot, and I'm like, what do I do now? I got to drop off somebody who I had in the top 5 because he was number 1. So hey, this is good because now at least I have it. At least I have the knowledge. Okay, with what he told, what was it again?
782 and a half at 87.
Damn. Okay.
Oh, I did see that.
Lock in.
That's
When I
great.
locked in. When I locked in. Oh wait, who do you got number 4?
I have Jacob as well. I think like Dillon was saying, like a lot of people were saying, when I looked at Jack Reynolds' training, it made me sweat. That dude, in regard to what happened on the platform, in terms of how he compared to his training to his new performance, despite all that, he is still breaking huge numbers in 83 and 93 in any weight class. He is putting it down. So the fact that Jacob comes in and almost pulls for the win, or at least has it loaded as a threat, and his deadlift is looking good. The fact that he could do that while not having a great squat day. A lot of people were talking trash about the bench, but he had a pretty decent bench day, I feel. I mean, like, it's pretty impressive. So I think he deserves number 4 on that spot, and that's in a really, really stacked list, with one person missing.
Yeah, it's fun because I'm pretty sure me and Elliot have the exact same top 5, the same order of our top 5, and we both missed somebody that would have been like right there. So that's funny. Okay, we are up to number 3. Big Body, who do you got?
All right, so I'm going Daniel Harris.
The GOAT.
I have Daniel Harris. I have Daniel Harris at number 3 because he actually, through his words verbatim, has told me that he does not have a coach.
Yeah,
and I remember that when we were
I remember this.
I remember when we were at the Shawarma Cafe. Elliot, it was Elliot, me, Ashton, Will Ball was with us, and Daniel was there. We were having a blast.
Like, please, coach me. Did he ever hit you up?
Yeah, we've talked. And I don't hide nothing. I'll tell the community too. So he's incredibly well. First, let me go to the ranking. So he's incredibly talented. He's got sheer raw power, especially for how incredibly light he is. To be able to do what he did, the greatest 66 sub-junior performance, right?
Yes.
That alone, when you do the greatest anything, like, I have a lot of respect for that. The greatest anything. So the greatest sub-junior 66 performance, it's amazing, incredible. Like, he's just a talent. The kid, his personality and who he is as a person, he just ejects life out to, like, he's a great personality, but also he's a special talent. And I think to come on a world stage and perform like that, put up that 635.5 total. He squatted 238, it was a world record. And then he put up a 635.5 world record total, 99.14 GL for a 66. And I do agree with some of the things, the sentiments that Elliot had spoken on in regards to GL and for 66s.
You would know, Mr. Austin Nikolai, coach.
he just put up a phenomenal performance, and to do this without a coach and just coming out and balling out like that and coming back from injury, I mean, like, he's just a talent. He's just a pure talent. And just a side note, he has spoke about how he wants us to work together, but currently, so everyone knows, hopefully, I mean, I don't think he'll mind if I say this, and I apologize if I don't think this is anything bad, but he told me that right now he's focusing strongly on MMA.
Yeah.
And I told him that I want him to be the very best MMA fighter that he could be. And like, if you have a chance to make it in something that you're passionate about, like, you need to do that. That, like, your happiness needs to come first. And if you're passionate about that, powerlifting ain't going nowhere. But I do know that in the MMA, you have a clock for sure. You have more of a clock in mixed martial arts than you do in powerlifting. I mean, we see all the old heads of the world putting up great numbers,
The only dude that puts up great numbers in the UFC that's like old days, even close to powerlifting, is like Glover Teixeira. Like,
yeah,
that's like it.
Oh, and what about what's his name? The Brazilian, the lightweight.
Charles. Not
who?
Charles.
And
Charles is like 38.
No, not Charles. He's bald head.
Wait, what the hell? Innocence. Why did I? Who's the
bald
lightweight?
head? Bald head. He's got the scar on the face. He's like one of the goats. He's a Brazilian.
Jose Aldo.
Jose Aldo.
There you go. Aldo's still in there duking it up. But anyways, getting back to the point.
Bro, I didn't even know he still fought.
Yeah, he just won his recent fight.
Bro, he's on.
He looks good.
He's on.
He's on. But anyways, Daniel Harris, I got him there at 3rd. Daniel, wish you the best of luck in your MMA pursuits. We'll be cheering on for you. The boys, we love you, man. And I got Daniel at 3rd. He had a phenomenal performance, did it with no coach. I mean, he's just a raw talent, so I have a lot of respect for that.
Okay. Now, at number 3, I believe, the only lifter who was on my list last year, He was number 8 last year, moving to number 3. Our 93 kilo sub-junior world champion, William Ball. So coming in,
We
like
do
I
have
was,
the exact same list.
yeah, I figured. Coming in,
Ha
I was really hyped to see what he was gonna do. Was he gonna take the squat record? Was he gonna take all the records? Right? I mean, it was a good performance, I would say. Like definitely, I wouldn't say it was like a disappointment, but it could have been a little better. But yeah, I mean, we'll see next year. Like I truly expected 805, whatever it was, the world record total to be taken, and the squat, of course. I mean, squat was there in terms of strength. Should have, whatever. We're not gonna get too into judging and calls and all that, but so it wasn't the perfect meet day. So it kind of made it. This was actually in theory, I thought it was gonna be a hard decision for which spot, but it ended up being really easy because I couldn't move you to 4 because you won and number 4 didn't, and I couldn't move you to number 2. So it was really like I was forced to put you at number 3, and I think that's like an appropriate spot. Like you had an extremely good performance. In other years, also you might be number 1. Like it's definitely like in the conversation, but in this year, I think like to me, 1 and 2 were like a clear like level ahead, and you were like a clear the next spot. So those are my thoughts. Your turn, Will. Number 3, who you got?
Yo, can we just
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Hey, I'm just saying though.
The picks from the celly were hard, even though.
Who had a better celebration after a fail?
Hey,
Who had a better celebration after a fail?
that Selly was hot. He told me he was going to do that. He told me he was going to do that.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
And my hold on. Oh, I'm gonna drop it. Yeah, I'm not putting this back up. I'll do that later. And my dad was in the crowd chanting USA. That was, bro.
I think this is good. I think
it looks good to me.
The crease is right below. I mean, look, but hey, it's worlds. They're really tough. We got to do better. You know, you're gonna do better. You guys gonna clean it up.
Hey man. Next time, if I see that same judge, I'm just saying it's barbecue chicken from there.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
So, Will, who do you got at number 3?
I have myself.
Please.
I have myself. I got I'm gonna be honest. My top 5 is probably the same as you and Elliot. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It probably is. It was kind of based off the list that we saw in the group chat. Not really. I just kind of tweaked it a little bit, just to my opinion. But I kind of like what Dillon said. I feel corny talking about myself. You can. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, Dillon.
I don't want to repeat the same things that you said. So I have Will at number 3. I mean, you guys have already kind of said why. I mean, I feel like there's no debate for Will at number 3. So yeah, that's why he's my number 3 spot.
Okay, Elliot.
Number 3. But let me say, there is another part of me with my reasoning for Will Ball at number 3, where it's like, while his world's performance wasn't the greatest, it's not necessarily all because of just like depth calls or anything. Like if you look at his last deadlift, it was lightning fast. It was very, very submaximal.
Smoke.
Like, a lot of room in the tank. And if we're also, I feel like getting into these top 3 is really important to talk about because at least 2 of them for me are aging out. So it's really important to talk about how they affect the juniors. And the number 2, while he doesn't age out, still affects the juniors, I believe. Regardless, it's to say Will Ball, I think, is a genuine competitor for the junior world spot next year, while being just aging into the class, and he hasn't even fully filled it out, or very recently has begun to. He is not that long time of a lifter, despite the appearance. and he is just very dedicated, and he goes through a lot of adversity, but he keeps pushing. And I think one, he won. Two, it wasn't even on his best day. And three, I think he has the capability to improve and take those critiques and take his game and improve it and bring a whole new package to the junior 93s, like we've seen him do to the sub junior 93s.
Well said. I guess I'll just add one more thing. Will kind of reminds me of like a 2022 Callie Johansson. I remember every time I would see Will hit a PR, all I'd be thinking is like, you have more in the tank. It was like, I remember, I met Cal at a Worlds in Turkey, and I actually was up against him. I mean, he beat me. I was handling Jeffrey. I don't know if you guys know Sway, whatever. But after that, I was following his training, and just like, he would always hit PRs, and it would always look like he's sandbagging. So it's the same thing with you, Will. Like I see, like, whenever you like post, like I remember you posted like a squat, a bench, all these things, and I'm like these are all like RPAs. So I mean, we'll see. Like, you're gonna have to do a lot of work. The 93 juniors like have leveled up, so you're gonna have to work, but you're still your first year in the class. You still have weight to gain, I think. So and
Yeah,
I don't
there's
know if
some.
it's true, but I remember hearing something absolutely crazy about weight on one of these podcasts. Is that true? How many pounds?
Young lifters talk.
How many pounds?
He's a young lifters talk listener.
Yeah. So I know what you're talking about. When I first started lifting, the first year of me lifting, by the end of the year, I think I had almost doubled my body weight. And I didn't touch anything. I haven't touched anything ever. Obviously, passed the IPF drug test. So,
You
but
started lifting at what weight?
I think it was like 80 or 90 pounds, and by the end of the year, I was like 190 pounds, something like
Big body space. You gotta faster that. That's like
That's the next linebacker, big body. Just wait.
I've been maintaining since then, but I mean, whenever I need to, I try, honestly, I do, to fill out the class because I think that's what I need to do to really be successful in the juniors. But I'm just saying, I can pick the fork up.
Okay.
No, hey, you know what? I can attest to that. For being a fat man myself,
Kebab.
this
Kebab.
guy, hey, Will can eat. We were in the warm-up
Kebab,
room, and I had
bro.
some food with me. I was like, "You want some?" He's like, "You gonna eat that?"
I'm a hungry man.
Smack it.
Hey, this is almost done. I grabbed
There
this
you go.
10 minutes ago.
Respect.
Don't even worry.
Gotta get that protein in.
All right.
Okay, we're up to the top two already. Big body,
Oh,
who'd
it's
you go
going.
at number two?
Suspense.
Who?
I said suspense. At number two, I have Jack Reynolds
Yep.
because that was a stacked battle for sub juniors.
Jealous, bro. It's
I have
such a cool just image that it created. Like, there was so much hype around that. It was insane.
Jacob Belloc. I have him as the honorable mention, and people will be like, with Dillon and Jacob also in that battle, people would say like, oh well, he got second place, and with Dillon underperforming, how are you going to even compare those? It's just like, no, the way that I value things is I see number one, and then that's all I see. And if you're not number one, then we need to continue to work. That's the way that I see it. It's not to discredit second place, third place, or any other placing. It's just more so of that was a very I was actually watching that battle. I don't know if you could hear me, Dillon, but I was rooting for you. I was rooting for Team USA. I was rooting for Jack. And then Jacob came out of nowhere, and I saw the entire meet unfold, and it was a really cool battle. It felt like the energy that you could just feel during that battle was special. It was just like I was like, this is what powerlifting's supposed to be. I felt the energy in both Sheffield years, once as a spectator and once as a assistant coach, and the energy had some elements of how special Sheffield is at that junior worlds meet. So that battle was special. It was tight. And you know, Jack ultimately, you know, he weighed in at 82.25. He hit his second squat of 280, and even that squat for 83 kg sub junior is insane. 195.5 bench. He benches 5.5 more than I ever have in my life in comp, and he did it on the world stage. And I'm like a million pounds heavier than him and 20 years older. And he pulled, you know, 295, and you know he had also the world record total of 770.5. That's just a phenomenal performance. What do we got here? GL at 107.15.
And unreal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
I think it was. Oh no, he rounded up. It says here 107.2, but I guess 107.15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's just a incredible performance. He came in, he hit what he needed to hit. You know, Jacob was on his butt, and it was just a tight battle to see. I love watching tight battles, and it's just it's refreshing, reassuring. Like the 83 Open is already stacked. The Junior Open has a lot of hitters, and then you got like these sub juniors that are going to just fill into that insane,
easily,
this plethora of talented lifters. So I got Jack there to be able to win in a tight battle like that on a world stage and execute. I hold a lot of respect for that. So I have him in my number 2.
If I could touch on what Chris just said about the battle, honestly, man, it's one of those things that if I wasn't sleeping for competing early, like later in the day, I really honestly would have been there. It was one of the things that I was going to sleep thinking about. I was like, man, I'm gonna miss Jack.
Yeah.
I can't. I was excited, like going to sleep because I was like, man, dude, I'm gonna miss this 83 kilo battle when I wake up.
Yeah. You had your own title to go get.
Yeah.
I had to lock in.
I think we might all agree on this, but I also have number 2, Jack. We're probably all going to agree, so I don't need to elaborate so much, but I'll just elaborate on one part, which is I think maybe the craziest stat of all the sub juniors is the fact that Jack Reynolds, his bench, for reference, the gold medal on bench in the Open 83s was 187.5. We're talking about a sub junior who's outlifting on bench, no less. Like, we're talking like deadlift would be one thing, but bench is the one that usually takes the most muscle maturity. He is out benching the strongest 83s in the world.
And one thing, he doesn't have a crazy arch at all either. He's like kind of flat back and like long arms, bench.
Grown man bench.
He also has like zero arms. Yeah, that's for short arms. Like, I mean, he's deservedly number 2. I was definitely hyped to watch it. Like, honestly, I would say he really performed as I expected. Like, I thought maybe like on a perfect day he could have done a bit more, but like that was what I was expecting. I was expecting something like that. I thought maybe like 780 was like potentially there, but like I mean he just did. He was heavy obviously for this meet he just did, but like he just did this meet, like went crazy again, like put up like 795. He's right by 800 now. I mean he's insanely strong. He's one of the few people here who's also again a sub junior next year. I hope he's staying 83.
I don't know. I think he said he's not filling out 93, but I don't think he's going 83. He's already 90 kilo.
Oh, okay. So that's actually a shame because Dillon, if you're staying 83, I was hoping to get to see you guys battle it out again.
Cool.
Hey, we'll battle hopefully for like a GL point or like a coefficient of some sort, hopefully.
Probably.
Or maybe even just both do a meet where you both come in at like 90, no cutting, whatever.
Yeah.
Just like maybe like it's obviously like world's the most important thing, and you both want to like do your best. If you're gonna do 83, he does 93. It's a different story. But like if you're gonna just do a meet, like a meet where you guys can go all out, don't have to worry about cutting, and like, but you also like let's be real. If you're saying 83, you're definitely not gonna be as strong at 83 as you would be at 90. So like maybe if you have like a really good prep and everything, like maybe you can potentially get to that 800 83 range next year. But 800 at like 90, that's like a much more I mean, you're right there. Like all it takes is like a good like meet prep. So I would love to see it. I mean, where do you live? You live Texas?
Oklahoma.
Oh, Oklahoma, because you're right next to Texas.
Yeah.
I've been there, and Jack lives somewhere on the East Coast. I'm not even sure where, but
Massachusetts, I think.
Massachusetts. So, okay,
Yeah.
so it's not like if you live closer, it would be simpler for you
Yeah.
guys to just like find a local meet. But it's still, it would be fun to watch. But yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
so I think we all like probably agree on our number 1 and 2, and they're both extremely strong. And yeah, so I'll let you add something if you want. I assume you have the same number 2.
Man, I don't know what's going on.
We've been
know.
over this, man. We've been over
Yeah,
it.
Jack's got my number 2 spot. I mean, arguably just an amazing lifter, I want to say. Like we talked about the fight, it was I didn't watch it in person. I wish I did. I'm really honestly upset that I missed it. But I mean, when you dominate and you have I'm gonna say this word now. Don't eat me up, but he had so much aura coming into Worlds off of just training alone. I mean, it
I thought he was like hitting his elbow.
yes.
Power.
Oh, I asked him about that. I was like, bro, you have to
He
do
was
the
like, no,
elbow
it's my fist.
slam.
No, it's my fist. So I was like, oh my god.
Dude, he does
Oh,
that thing before, and he did that before his, what, was it 300?
yeah,
Did he do it?
301.
Yeah, he did that, and I was like, oh my God, dude, that's tough. I was scared, but I was like, dude, that's tough. And they did that before his bench also.
That was
Like,
war, bro.
we
That was
talked about how muscle maturity is definitely needed for bench, and how Dylan pulled up the fact that he doesn't have a crazy arch and whatnot. I'm pretty sure he sinks a lot too, which is crazy. But and it's so good. It's just there's so there's so many positive things about him. I can't knock the guy. But in person, oh my God, like trying to talk to a brick wall. He's like,
oh.
yeah, yeah. What's up,
That's what,
guys?
I'm not sure that's what you meant to say because it doesn't come. What did you mean for that to come off as?
No. Like it's like trying to. Okay. I don't want to like take a jab at Jack or nothing, but I think I've told him like he's a great guy. He's pretty chill, really chill guy, one could say. But yeah, he's not like a very bubbly personality. He's not like a tooth fairy. You know what I mean?
I'll be back one.
Okay, fine. Dylan, who do you have at number 2?
I mean, pretty obvious. I got Jack number 2. I don't want to add a bunch and just repeat the same things you all said, but yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Jack number 2. Yeah.
Nothing to add?
Nah, not really. I don't have anything to add.
Okay, fine.
I'm back.
Elliot, who do you got at number
I
2?
just had to let my cats out. They were meowing to get out of on the patio. My turn.
Yeah.
So for my number 2, obviously Jack Reynolds. I have a lot to say. Oh my Lord, man. I'm gonna be honest. For a second, I was scared after I dropped that 312.5. I was like, I might not win best lifter because that was how much like hype he had behind his lifts. Like he was hitting huge numbers in training. Like it scared me. Fun fact, when I was signing up for 74 high school nationals, which was further away from Worlds, but the disadvantage is that someone can come in to the next meet and out total you. Now, obviously, we thought there was no way anyone was going to out total me, but then we see Jack Reynolds. We didn't know he was fully bulking to 83 at the time. He hadn't really like announced the switch. I think he was just filling out and going up more. And on the plane, I was like, man, but what if he cuts down to 74? Like I didn't think it would happen, and I thought even if he cut down to 74, I don't think he could out total me. I think it would be too big of a drop off, and I don't know if he could have out totaled me at 83 at the time. Eventually, obviously, he did. But like it was in my head, you know what I mean? Like, and that's crazy because I mean, like, I've felt very ahead since I started, and to have that threat pop up out of nowhere, it was very, very like, I mean, it was scary, dude. I had to lock in. Um, Obviously, we talked about his competitiveness in the open. He's competitive in either weight classes. He has so much more potential that he can bring to the platform. I think we talked about this. That he just kind of needs this more experimenting with the peak and taper on bringing his full package to his meet. I think the bench drop off is sort of like unavoidable with sync bench press in the IPF because the pause commands can be a little brutal. But like his deadlift and his squat, I think are having issues going into meet. And he's very, very newly coached, by the way. Like, not like rookie, but like he hasn't been working with David Wilson for like years. You know what I mean? Like that's insane. That's insane. And the amount of progress he's made in that short of a time is mind-boggling. I don't know if I've seen anything like it ever. And that is including myself in that conversation because that is I think the craziest progress I've ever seen. Yeah.
Okay. We are up to our number one. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of disagreements on this one. Big Body, ready to get some wild cards
This
here?
is going to be
our number one.
Man. Oh.
So I have
Responding.
Dominic. No, I'm kidding. I have Elliot. Probably not a surprise. Weighed in at 72.7. I'm going to talk about his squat real quick. He goes with the record of 275.5. He misses his second. And then he mentioned the word grit today in this pod. And he comes back with some grit. And he smacks the 295.5 for the world record. And just in that squat session alone, we had seen, like, I found out about Elliot this year. I felt at the beginning of the year, I was like, I felt disrespected. I felt the numbers that he was loading, I felt personally attacked as a young kid to be hitting these type of numbers. And I was like, this kid is undeniably a special talent. He has grit, came back from that squat. He
forgot to do commands on bench.
He missed his first, then he smashed 62.
I thought I missed the press command, and then I missed the rack command because I thought I missed the press command. That is like
that happens.
The worst.
It happens
ever.
Was this your first Worlds?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it happens. It happens. You'll know what to clean up now and do better on. And then set 170.5. Was that a record as well?
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. They didn't put it down. They just put 170.5, but they didn't mark it as a record.
What?
Yeah, it does. Well, on this sheet, the data, the literal translated, like the data sheet.
I was looking at the IPF record book list and it's on there.
Okay, yeah. I'm not trying to scare you. Like,
I'm like, what? Well, they spelled my name wrong. They spelled it with one T.
They usually put the initial next to it, but on here maybe they messed up. But you have the record, 7.5, and then your second deadlift, you finished off with the world record of 300 keys with the 766 total
with the world record.
What was that?
I started with the world record.
Finished with the second attempt, 300 keys, and then 766 total. Elliot, he has grit. He's a great kid outside of powerlifting. Great personality. He's smart. He's a likable guy, in my opinion. I think he's great. He understands the game. He understands application. He understands what it is that his coach is asking of him. I think he's exemplary as a champion. We saw some adversity within this competition, within him executing, and he came back and he just showed what a true champion does. you might not agree. This is really good for like young lifters to understand and learn, is that you may not agree with how referees may be calling the day, but to lock in, focus, and still execute on a high level, world stage level, and put a performance out like that. You're keeping the streak of, you've got the Perkins of the world, and then you're also keeping it in the 74s of the pound for pounds. And I think that you're so young, you have so much upside. There's so many years you'll be powerlifting as long as you love this game, and stay healthy, that I think that you're going to be doing this for a long time. And where we come from on our side, we call you one of them ones. I mean, really, all of you on on the ranking is one of them ones, right?
For
All
sure.
of you, for sure. You guys are you're rare lifters, and I think that you're just an exemplary talent, exemplary athlete. It was fun that you and I were actually like infatuated on kind of just talking a little bit of like X's and O's powerlifting, and that was great. You don't get a lot of, you know, um, young lifters that like are infatuated or interested with like powerlifting X's and O's and schematics. So that was awesome. And yeah, man, I mean, I just can't say enough good about you, Elliot. I know, people are gonna say glaze, whatever, but like really what I'm doing is I'm just giving my respects, right? I'm giving my respects. I think it's really hard to earn what you've earned. And not only do I think that you are one of the, best sub juniors in the world, but I think you're one of the best juniors in the world. And there's a great deal of 74 kg lifters in the open that are not, totaling that, and you're just sub. So I mean, again, a lot of props, respect to you, your team, your coach. Much love to you guys. I think you're the number one ranked sub junior in the world.
Well said.
Thank you.
Okay. On to my number one sub junior, and I have so basically there was once this kid, this 15-year-old kid. We had like 135 pounds or something. And
138.
138 pounds. Okay, correction. And this happens to be the last time I ever did a competition. I went there, and there was this little kid. He was competing. It was his first meet. I don't know. He squatted. I don't know what he lifted, honestly. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers actually right now, but I'll pretend I don't know what he lifted. Unfortunately, I bombed out of that meet because it would be the last time I would ever be able to total more than this kid. So our number one, obviously, Elliot Sykes. I mean, pretty crazy actually. I didn't even know who he was, but I met him before anyone else here. I met him when nobody in powerlifting knew who he was. Nobody in powerlifting knew who he was, and he went from there. And then I mean, I saw when he did his first like the big breakout meet when he did like it was 687. And like you were like a super light 74. You were still really a 66. And I remember seeing that. I'm like, this like doesn't make sense. Like a 16-year-old like putting up these numbers. And then just like every step along the way. I mean, honestly, you sent me some messages that I never re-responded to tonight, but I was really thinking like we were talking about sub junior records and whether they're important or not. And of course to some people it's very important, right? Like it could be the only time you'll ever have a record. To some people, they're not as important because like when you see the grand scheme of things and like see all the things you're gonna do afterwards, the sub junior records become a little less important. I honestly would say though that the sub junior record that might be the most, I don't know if the word's the most impressive, but definitely up there is the most impressive. And I would say not just the sub junior record that's going to last the longest, but maybe the single record in any division of powerlifting that'll last the longest is the 295.5 squat Elliot did this year. When you look at powerlifting, if you look at the record books, they're changing yearly, especially with sub juniors and juniors. Like it's basically wiped up. I mean, look at the 74 records a year ago. None of them still exist. Look at the 83 records a year ago. None of them exist. Like they're getting changed yearly, but to squat 295.5 as a sub junior, I mean, who does that? Like nobody. So I honestly think we're going to look back in 5 years and the records in every weight class, they'll all be changed. I think this is the one record that might still be like, if you look in general at juniors, like there's one long-standing record, which will probably get broken soon, maybe by somebody, one of the people that we've talked about tonight when they're in the juniors, which is the 813 by John Hack. That's like But
He squats
This-
4 times his body weight.
who?
Elliot.
Elliot, you're saying? Yeah,
Rep soon, trust.
right. So I'm saying like I just think it's crazy. I mean, obviously you're about to enter the juniors. It's a new chapter. Right away you're going to be like the only real question is not going to be winning worlds next year. It's going to be like, will you get best overall lifter? Like that's really like it's rare not only to go from the sub juniors to competing in the juniors, but to be competing literally for best overall lifter. Like that is honestly pretty crazy. I mean, like we could all agree on that. So, I mean, everyone will have some things to add, but that was just I wanted to give a little something. Will, you have anything to add?
I mean, I think you can guess who my number one spot is gonna go to. It's the GOAT, Elliot Sykes. Let me
All
tell
right,
you.
bud.
Let me tell you.
All right,
That
bud.
guy's that guy's the GOAT. All right. Even I can't add anything else to on the platform. I mean, like there's just so much good about the guy as a lifter and as a person. I mean, I, I just I don't think y'all just captivated it, honestly. Like,
He's
what
the guy.
more can I add? He's that guy, realistically. Yeah, super jacked, by the way. If you see him in person,
All right, bud. Dude, this guy mogs me. Like I literally
super
disappeared.
jacked.
Like
Like,
Dylan,
if
do
you
you
get it,
remember how wide this dude is?
Yes.
yo, chill. Because now I saw a. All right, now I'm getting sidetracked. But if you get a chance to pick him up and throw him, you should do that. That'd be perfect.
You get a chance to pick.
But he's just the GOAT. I mean, we talk about. I'm at a loss for words, honestly. That's glazed, but it's like it's deserved. I mean, beating the juniors as well as the sub juniors is like. I mean, I heard the guy say if I could have gotten the best lifter junior award, I would have. And you give me a top 10 list and you expect me not to put him up there at number one. I mean, there's not much more to it.
113.5 GL.
Lord.
Lower.
Okay, Dylan, anything to add?
Yeah. So yeah, Elliot obviously is my number one. But one thing I wanted to add, no one mentioned, is that was a top 10 performance in the 74s of all time as a sub junior. Broke every sub junior record and Austin Perkins squat record as a junior. All time sub junior GL points and dots, and also is already top 10 in the juniors in GL points.
Good shit, Dylan. Look at that journalism.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
dude, this guy's
Yeah,
professional.
yeah.
He has
Yo.
that like football. or
Man's
something.
bringing in the facts.
Oh, can you run that back one more time? Let me hear it
He's
again.
got the numbers.
Oh no,
Yeah,
for
no,
real,
let's
let me
run
hear
that
the
back.
numbers.
Let's run that back.
Yeah, run that back.
Top 10 performance in 74s as a sub junior.
Oh,
Broke every sub junior record and junior squat, and broke every sub junior record and junior squat record, Austin Perkins record. All time sub junior GL points and dots. Top 10 in juniors and GL points already.
Elliot Sykes.
I'm gonna have to
Elliot
clip
Sykes,
that.
everyone.
I'm gonna clip that and use that audio for like when I actually post the individual videos. Like I'll have that as the voiceover. Honestly, I should totally do that instead of using like the commentators at Worlds and stuff. I should just like take like one of us when we were talking and just use that audio over.
Tough.
That's tough.
I mean, almost
So-
as goated as Mr. Kebab, one could say.
Get this guy out of here, dude. Talking about God.
So Elliot, who do you think's number one?
Oh, dude, this is bad. I put myself as number one, and I just there is things I want to say. Powerlifting is a lot to me. It came to me at a very low time in my life, and when I didn't have a lot going for me. And the fact that I've been able to do it and I've been able to not only be good at it, but through that talent and through that interest, make friends and make social connections and hang out with people and talk to people and get these opportunities to talk to the best in the world, really the best in the world. I mean, think about this. Not only are these like sub-junior champions or up there in the sub-junior rankings of all time in the sport, they're breaking barriers upon barriers while the sport is in the biggest explosion it's ever been in. Powerlifting is becoming huge, and you have these phenoms, I mean, just exploding out of and you get to talk to all of these people, and I think it is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. It's gotten me so many opportunities, and I couldn't do that without my competitors, my supporters, the people who are just interested in powerlifting in general. I just have so much thanks for this community. It changed my life, really.
That's beautiful, bro. That's beautiful.
The good
We're-
speaks.
Thank you for
honored-
sharing.
We're honored to have you, man. We're honored to have you, and really all of you sub juniors, man. You guys are setting the tone.
You know, we all prepared for our list. Now I'm going to just give one thing not to prepare for. So I want each of you to do two things. Number one, give me one lifter that you think we should look out for going forward. Not somebody who's on, I mean, it could be somebody on the list or somebody not on the list, preferably, but you think like we should watch out for coming. That's number one. And number two, a message like, I mean, a lot of people that are going to care about the sub juniors, we're going to have a lot of like teens, like young kids, like 15, 16, 17, 18, whatever, who are going to be watching. So I want to hear one upcoming lifter to watch. And number two is just a message to all the young lifters out there who are not close to your guys' level, who are either coming close, like working their way up or just starting. So, Will, you wanna talk to us?
Oh, it's me. Jesus. Okay. One upcoming lifter. I don't want to say he's upcoming because he is currently he's really good. He's at the level of top 5 and top 3. I think he's a top 3 conversation kind of guy. Maybe not. I just think he deserves that spot, honestly. He was mentioned earlier, and a lot of us were like, "Oh, we should have had him on our list." But since he's not on the list, I'm going to use him as that spot. Chase Gravel.
Grab it.
Grab it. That's a T. My fault. I think I saw him one day. I think Dillon reposted it or something like that, and I started shaking in my boots. My timbers were shivered. You know, I didn't see much about him. I didn't look for very long, but I think he's genuinely somebody who could do a lot of damage in the higher rankings. If he's just given a little bit of time, and that's what he has right now. So, and can I come back? Can you come back to me for the second half? I didn't think on it.
Okay, fine. Dillon, go for it.
So, for my incoming, he hasn't. I think he won like a best lifter or something in the IPF, or not the IPF, but like the umbrella fed. But I think his name's Khalid or something. He's a 66.
Khalid House, the 66.
Yeah, he's a 66, and he hasn't. I think he's gonna go to Worlds probably or something. I don't know. I can't really tell, but
He was supposed to. He couldn't get a visa this year or something like that. He had to drop out last minute.
Him and also I think he's a 74 now. Ben Tran is a 70 going into 74.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's also a good lifter to look out for.
Okay. And let's hear a message to all the young lifters out there.
A message would just be like, I said this on my story the other day, and someone was asking advice on like what you should do as a new lifter, and I was like, okay, the sport itself is like such a great sport. To be competitive, it has to be really, obviously it's going to be really, really hard. But one thing I just want to say is like, while you're in the sport, try to have as much fun as possible. Don't just evolve your life and every aspect about your life right into the sport. Don't cut off friendship, relationships, like the sacrifice like with your education and stuff just for the sport. Just have as much fun as your sport as you can while you're in it.
Well said. Okay. Will, did you come up with something yet?
Yeah. I did. It does make sense. What Dylan just said, it is really honestly good advice. I honestly really do agree with that. Like, you shouldn't be necessarily have such an unhealthy obsession if you're just starting out or you're new with this sport in general, just because it unhealthy obsessions can be really bad. Obviously, we know this, but um, this sport can yield so much like entertainment, so much enjoyment, and it can benefit you so much. But also, you just have to treat it the right way. And I genuinely think that no matter what level you're at, no matter what level of competitions you're at, you can have a phenomenal time. I've experienced it myself. You don't need to be, a world champion or go on the world stage just to have fun in the sport. And if that's something you want to do, then obviously chase your dreams and work to your fullest ability to do so. But like what Dylan said, you shouldn't be sacrificing, you know, like you shouldn't be taking out $100,000 loans just to go train at like Alpha Elite and buy your own, home gym just to be able to train, you know, for the sport. You can do a number of things, but I think I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay. Elliot, you got a lifter to watch out for?
Well, like I said, Dylan stole mine. Ben Tran. I mean, dude, he is ridiculous. Let's start with he broke one of my personal favorite records that I had, which was my, I think, teen one and teen two squat. I did that when I was 15, and it was only broken 3 years ago. So, and most of my other records had been broken by that point. So I was proud of that record, and he smashed it, man. And he's just such a crazy lifter. He's dedicated. He's working hard. And I think when he moves to power, I was telling him, I was like, you need to come to IPF because you can do you. There's the sub junior gap in the 74 now, man. So many people are aging out. We need you, bro, because
Is he going IPF?
Hmm?
Okay, he is.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Okay.
He's just recovering right now. He's so crazy, dude. He's well rounded. He literally reminds me of myself when I was a little younger. Like looking at his lifts, I'm like, dude, this is like I feel like this is what people felt when they watched me. He's crazy, dude. I am really excited for him.
Okay. By the way, send me his Instagram in the chat just so I make sure I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Mike, you mind if I give something super quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I just want to say to you three and to all the sub juniors and the juniors and the young athletes out there, make sure I want to add to is make sure when you lift, make sure that you are getting fulfillment out of it, and make sure you learn how to manage living life, executing your priorities of what your outside of training goals are, putting your family and your faith first if you have faith. I recommend having faith. I think it's a great thing for the heart and the soul. And make sure you learn how to balance and understand that when you see lifters on Instagram balling out and like these guys making incredible lifts, don't let that take away from your journey. Don't let that take away from the special fun that you could have when you go in the gym with your friends and the environment, the people in your community, and the love that you could share with these people, because it's about, don't forget about the experiences you have to share with people, right? Like I've had an opportunity to see all these guys in person, and I've had time to spend time and have fun. And we had so much fun. I forgot that we even powerlifted, that for me at least. And just know that this sport can do a lot. The sport is growing and it can change lives. I've seen it change a lot of people's lives on my team. It's changed my life. A lot of people on my team do this full time. And this sport means everything to us. This sport, like Elliot has said, has changed his life for the better. I'm sure it's changed Dylan and Will's as well. You got Big Mike over here that's doing a phenomenal job on the podcast where he's creating a wave for himself in the future of powerlifting. And just know that powerlifting has a lot to offer and that there's going to be downtimes, but don't let that be the main hitter. What I mean by that is when you have down times, don't end everything off of that, or don't let a bad day, be the end all be all or define who you are. Just like we've seen Dillon, he's going to come back and he's going to ball out. And he already did that in his past meet in front of national judges. And he's shown you all how to bounce back. And these lifters, have done phenomenal things. Every lifter here has missed a lift, you know what I'm saying? But look how they came back. And these guys are only going to be forces coming into the juniors, coming into the open in the coming years. And to you kids, I just want to say, young kids, young men, I just want to say, you guys are setting the tone for powerlifting around the world. There are so many young kids that are even younger than you that are looking up to you. You guys have leadership positions. So every single thing that you guys do and everything that you guys do to handle your trials and tribulations, another kid is looking up to you. And that's a lot. That's doing a lot of good things for their life. And just know that we've never had this big of a sub-juniors world championship, not juniors, a sub-juniors world championship. You guys are the first class that has been this big in our sport ever. And that says a lot. So you guys are doing a phenomenal job. I commend all of you. And please keep doing what you're doing because you're inspiring a lot of people. And if you're watching this, one of you will be the next Elliot Sykes, Dillon Johnsons, or Will Ball. So thank you guys for all that you do. And I'm excited to keep seeing you guys ball out in the future.
Can we talk about how much of the bar that was? Creating a wave for the future of powerlifting?
That's facts.
Wait. I didn't peep it the first time. I had to recollect.
I mean, I would say it's very well said. So that was a great message. I'll just throw out a lifter to watch. He's actually was supposed to be on the podcast. Didn't really had internet issues, but Deniz Goren, he came second in the 93s at Worlds this year at Subjunior Worlds. But he said this, and I didn't realize this. He said he just started. He's been lifting for a year.
Wow.
So when people have been lifting for a year and he deadlifted 320, it was the world record at the time. He got pushed a little bit after that. I mean, and I just looked at his training now, like since Worlds. His squat, like he took this squat from that he hit at Worlds and he hit it for like a set of 4 at like RP7. He's hit over his bench for reps. Like he totaled 742.5, which is still very good at Worlds. And it looks like he's probably gonna add.
And he was 16 at the time, I think, at Worlds too.
Yeah, so he's going to be sub-junior again next year, and he'll probably add 40 plus kilos to that. So he'll really be in the battle next year for winning. So it's just somebody to watch out for, especially like Turkey is not a country that's super well known for its powerlifters. So like you might not know who he is, but I would say definitely give a watch out for him. And then just in general, just like I guess a short message, which is I agree with everyone's message they gave are great. And I would just like reiterate, like powerlifting is an amazing thing. But just view it as like, it's a great sport to play, to get good at. But end of the day, like build relationships. Like the relationships you're going to build, the amount of people, like I've been to collegiate nationals, I've been to junior nationals, I've been to raw nationals, I've been to junior worlds, I've been to open worlds. I've been to basically every meet other than Sheffield that exists. And the amount of relationships I've made, like I made friends from different places in the US that I never would have met. I made friends from other countries. It's just when you get the privilege, the opportunity to do the sport, especially at a high level, like yes, it might be hard sometimes and it'll be difficult and you might feel stressed out, but like just enjoy every moment of it. Enjoy all the relationships you make along the way. So that's all I would say. And thank you everybody for coming on. This was like a phenomenal episode. I'm really happy how it turned out. I would just say I hope you guys all get that Future of Powerlifting podcast luck, because so far I would say we have a pretty good track record when we bring people on. Their successes afterwards. So hopefully it'll stick. I mean, brought Nanso on and then he did everything he said he was going to do. Our next guest was Joe Borenstein. Then he did that. Then we had Agathon. We all know how that went. I forget exactly. We had Adi Amasakin on. So we had everyone right before their big meet. So who knows what's coming next? But I mean, you guys have all already like done big things, but the future is bright. That's all I can say.
Yes, sir.